Imagine an entire people, 80% of them wiped out in 4 years, not by disease, not by accident, but by deliberate German orders to shoot every man, woman, and child on sight, drive the survivors into the desert to die of thirst, and then starve the rest in the world's first concentration camps. This isn't a Nazi story from the 1940s. This happened in 1904 to 1908 in Namibia. Today, I'm exposing the Herero and Nama genocide, the evil colonial campaign that Germany still doesn't want to fully pay for. Stay with me for the next few minutes. This is one of the most brutal, most ignored chapters in human history. In 1884, Germany grabbed a massive slice of southern Africa and called it German Southwest Africa. It was bigger than Germany itself, but the real prize was the land and cattle of the Herero and Nama people, a proud pastoral tribe who had lived here for centuries. The German settlers, around 3,000 by 1903, stole everything. They seized the best grazing land, forced Herero into debt, raped women, and whipped men who resisted. The colonial courts treated black Africans like property. One German settler could literally murder a Herero and get a slap on the wrist. The Herero were pushed off their ancestral lands while their cattle, the heart of their wealth and identity, were taken. By late 1903, the situation was explosive. The Herero had modern rifles and horses. They were not helpless victims, they were warriors ready to fight for survival. On the 12th of January 1904, under Paramount Chief Samuel Herero, the Herero rose up. They attacked German farms and outposts. In the first weeks, they killed about 123 Germans, almost all armed settlers or soldiers. Herero gave strict orders: do not kill women, children, or missionaries. The Herero were fighting for their land, not for extermination. The Nama people, led by the legendary Hendrik Witbooi, joined the fight later in 1904. They too had suffered land theft and brutality. Germany panicked. The Kaiser sent reinforcements. At first, Governor Theodor Luitwin tried negotiation, but Berlin wanted blood. They replaced him with Lieutenant General Lothar von Trotha, a ruthless veteran who had already massacred people in China and East Africa. Von Trotha's motto, "The only good Herero is a dead one." He brought 10,000 fresh troops and heavy artillery. On the 11th of August 1904, the Battle of Waterberg, Von Trotha surrounded thousands of Herero fighters, women, and children at the Waterberg Plateau. Instead of accepting surrender, the Germans opened fire with cannons. The Herero broke and fled east into the waterless Omahaike Desert, the Kalahari's deadly arm. Von Trotha had planned this. He ordered his troops to guard every waterhole and poison the wells. On the 2nd of October 1904, at the waterhole of Osombe Windebe, he read out his infamous Vernichtungsbefehl, the extermination order. Within the German boundaries, every Herero, with or without firearms, with or without cattle, will be shot. I shall not accept any more women or children. I shall drive them back to their people or let them die in the desert. He later wrote that the Herero must be exterminated like vermin. German soldiers hunted them for months. Survivors told of families collapsing from thirst, mothers watching children die, bodies left to rot under the sun. Estimates say about 50,000 to 65,000 Herero died in the desert alone. Roughly 80% of the entire population were massacred. By late 1904, Berlin ordered von Trotha to stop the open slaughter and switch to concentration camps. On the 9th of December 1904, official order to build them came in. The most infamous was Shark Island near Luderitz, literally a death camp in the cold Atlantic wind. The prisoners were Herero and later Nama, were marched hundreds of kilometers in chains. At Shark Island, 1,032 out of 8,732 Nama died in just 6 months. Conditions: no shelter, almost no food, forced labor, breaking rocks in freezing sea spray. Bodies were thrown into the ocean or left for hyenas. German doctors performed medical experiments, measuring skulls, testing poisons, even forcing women to boil the flesh of dead prisoners so the skulls could be shipped back to Germany for science by men like Eugene Fischer, whose work later inspired Nazi racial theory. Other camps in Wascombe Pond, Windhoek, and Caribbean were just as deadly. Half of everyone sent to the camps died. Women and children were raped and beaten daily. The Germans kept meticulous death records. They were proud of the body count. By 1908, when the camps finally closed, another 10,000 Nama, half the population, were gone. The total death toll was between 65,000 to 100,000 souls. The survivors were stripped of all land and cattle by new native ordinances. They became rightless laborers on their own soil. The genocide created a blueprint for apartheid in Namibia and even influenced Nazi on concentration camp thinking. Germany only officially recognized it as genocide in 2021. They've offered some development money, but no full reparations or apology that the Herero and Nama descendants say is enough. Skulls were finally returned in 2018. How brutal and how terrible this must have been for the Namibia people. The fight for justice continues. They recognize the genocide and apologize, but they were not willing to pay for reparations. They said they will offer development money. What the Germans did in Namibia was evil on an industrial scale. Systematic extermination, death marches, poison, rape, starvation camps, and racist pseudoscience. It was the 20th century first genocide, and the world looked away. We remember, so it never happens again. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment. Should Germany pay full reparations? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.